Welcome to Staffing Stories, hosted by Andy Moss. Andy has been in the staffing industry for over 25 years, first as a recruiter, then eventually an account manager and business owner. This is the podcast where we sit down with fellow staffing owners to get the real stories of the successes, the failures, and the lessons learned along the way.
Welcome back to Staffing Stories, and we are up for another episode, and I have got one of my really longtime good friends with me, Jennifer Maffia. Jennifer,
hi, Andy.
Hello, welcome. We go back many moons, and when I started thinking about this podcast, I said, I've got to have Jennifer on here. So welcome.
Thank you. Excited to chat with you.
Well, we'll see if it's exciting afterwards, but right now I'm pumped to have you, and just introduce yourself to our subscribers and just kind of tell us who you are.
Absolutely. Jennifer Maffia, and I started out in recruiting for a very large firm, and I'll never forget the first day I went home crying because they told me I was going to be in the scientific division. And I barely passed chemistry or biology. And I was like, no, they need to put me in sales or administrative support. I'm never going to be able to understand this stuff. Looking back, it was probably the best gift because now I specialize in life science. That arena has grown. I had started my own company at the start of the last recession, 2008.
Yeah.
The timing just seemed absolutely perfect to do it. I knew I was going to struggle. I knew everyone was going to struggle. Why not just be an entrepreneur and start my own business? I
started mine in 2007. So
wow, it was the same thing. Yeah.
Right in the teeth of it. So exactly. It's like everybody's starting from ground zero. Let's do this. Explain life science. What is life science?
Okay. So life science is FDA regulated environments. We classify it as, so we work with the pharmaceutical companies, the contract manufacturing pharmaceutical companies, also the contract research organizations. We do the clinical research positions, chemists, microbiologists, lab techs, all the way, taking a drug all the way through, and also a little bit of food and beverage.
Okay. So you are based in North Carolina, correct?
The Mecca, yeah.
The Mecca, Raleigh, I do believe. Is it
yep.
Raleigh?
Raleigh RTP, and that they are known for the triangle. There's a lot of biotechs. There's a lot of clinical research organizations here. There's also a lot of manufacturing pharmaceutical companies are blowing up right now. They're doing a ton of gene therapies, a ton of manufacturing. So I think the demand for talent is going to be really tight, but it's also a good opportunity for us and a good location for us to be in.
The demand for every talent pool right now is just skyrocketing. I remember, you told me the story of just getting placed into scientific. That kind of reminds me when I was placed into engineering. I was like, engineering, I was like, I don't know what an engineer is, because I was more salesy too. But
right.
I think some of the most successful firms that I've known and successful individuals in this business all niche themselves in a particular industry and get really good at it.
Yeah.
Talk to me about recruiters and kind of niching themselves, because I know there's a lot of recruiters that listen to this that, how do they want to be successful? Kind of give me your take on the niche and kind of getting embedded into something like that.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to, and it always comes down to this, the relationships. I think it's building relationships. It's getting very involved in the community as far as networking groups within your industries, meeting the people, understanding the roles, and having a pipeline of candidates. I think that's the biggest thing to being a successful recruiter. You're not going to put postings up and people are going to apply to these roles. You're going to have to go out and hunt. You're going to have to cold call into companies. You're going to have to, get referral after referral after referral.
So you've had a lot of success hiring recruiters and keeping them. What has been, is there a go-to profile of a great recruiter? Is there, when you think of the prototypical person that's successful in your organization, what is that?
That is a great question. I think because we definitely lead by the carrot and not the stick, there's not a ton of micromanagement because we're a small organization and we're very lean. So we need someone who can work really well independently and is really self-motivated. That's where we have had the most success. Sometimes we've hired people from some of the big firms where it was very structured and they've had a hard time coming over to ARP. But people that are really self-driven and self-disciplined do really well.
Did you all stay remote, or are you back in the office after COVID? What's worked for you?
Okay, so it's so funny. I love the office. I fought to have an office. I wanted an office so bad. Then during COVID, we made an amazing hire out of Nashville, and he's one of our top performers, and he's remote, and he just knocks it out of the park. We also have an amazing person up in Boston. She's a mom of 4, and she's remote, and she works part-time for us, and her numbers are a highly successful, 6-figure plus earner recruiter, really successful because she has her network, she knows her people, super disciplined. She's been successful. We're trying to come in the office 1 day a week, especially for the new recruiters. There's nothing like hearing people on the phone.
Yeah, the training of the pit. Everybody's like, oh, the pit, they get a chill up their back. But
yeah,
I tell you what, learning sitting next to a contest type level recruiter, there's no better way of doing it.
No better way. That's why, I'm trying to get everyone in the office. And it's so hard because we're having like competition for recruiters is nothing like I've seen before.
Yeah.
There's a ton of corporate recruiter opportunities. So we really have to create a great opportunity, and we have to create great flexibility, great earning potential, great environment, great team feel.
So when you talk about your team, I know your husband is in the business with you. Doesn't he work a little bit alongside of it? And how is that? Because I know if my wife worked with me, that would be challenging. But I just want to know, can you guys leave it at the door before you go into the home? How is?
I don't recommend it, especially when you take someone who doesn't come from recruiting and someone who doesn't have the sales mindset. We agree on everything in life and have a great marriage, but our work relationship.
Do you want to fire him sometimes?
Oh my God, every day.
Every day.
And honestly, it's getting better. I think really having defined roles and responsibilities is helping us. But I guess the part that I really do like is I can rely on him. And sometimes, and having your own business, sometimes he's running up to the office, checking the mail, taking the garbage out. You do everything from collecting time cards to getting hours, setting interviews. Like, he's jumping in and helping with everything. So it is good to have that person.
The family is important in our business. And I have my own building here, and my boys that are now 18 and 20, they're the cleaning crew. So
are they? That's so funny.
I pay them to clean the building, and they've learned a lot about that, but they've done it for years. And so it is a way they're kind of injected into the staffing world because they're here every weekend cleaning.
Got it.
Your kids will one day be that old and do that.
I know. You're not having them do recruiting?
They're old enough. I could probably put them on a desk, but I would probably fire them after a week.
I know.
yeah, but they're all great. But it's just interesting to see them. When I started the business in '07, they were all babies, and now they're in college and stuff. So walk me through your process when you were recruiting for a large organization, and how, just I want to start my own business, or I want to go do, take me through that story.
Yeah, so I think I got to a point where I think you would make these great relationships when you worked for a large company, and they'd be like, fantastic. Let's give it to the new person, go out, break more, and you're starting from zero, which I was always up for the challenge. But with the looming at that time recession and everything that was going on, I'm like, I really want something more. I want something that's my own. So I originally had met my ex-business partner in the lobby. She was a competitor. And one thing she really did give me was the courage, because she was crazy. And she was like, oh, it's so easy. You just have to make one or two deals.
It's always easy.
Yeah, I don't work. I hardly work any hours. Like, she sold it. She's like, we should do it together. And I probably rushed and jumped, and that was a mistake. But I definitely have no regrets. I'm really glad I did it. I think the biggest advice I got is really surround yourself with good people.
Absolutely.
And ask questions. Like, you have saved me multiple times. I've called you in emergency pinches. I've called. I had a great lawyer. You ask questions. You ask highly successful people questions, and don't be afraid to ask.
You can't be afraid. That's where most people I would give advice is you've got to be a sponge, because starting your own business, there is no playbook. No one's going to hand you day one, here's your onboarding, and this is what you need. I mean, now we make onboarding this production of this is what you do for the next 3 or 4 weeks. There is no onboarding to being an owner. It is whatever you have to do, and you pick up a mop or you pick up a cleaning utensil or however it is. But it's just, but I like that. I thrived in that, and I know you have, because your backs are against the wall. Family depends on it.
Right, and I think it's really, if you don't overthink it, and you get a position, you fill a position, and you just keep doing that. It's really that simple. And then you start building clients and relationships, and we started hiring people and growing. We really haven't started scaling. The first 4 years we were on the smaller side, and the past couple of years we've really started to scale more.
And let's talk about that. I know from my knowledge of you, the past 2 years has been really, really good for you.
Yeah.
And how are you handling that? I mean, is it one day at a time? But it's great. Congratulations. But it's
Thank you.
Handling success is sometimes harder than handling failure.
Right. And you know what? You're right. It's definitely, the past 2 years have been harder. It's been harder on the recruiters. It's easy to get the job orders. It's harder to find the candidates. Talent pool shrinking, people getting multiple offers, super competitive. It was the Great Resignation. So we were dealing with a lot of that. Clients wanting rebates for candidates that didn't make it 6 months on the contract.
Yeah.
Just things I've never dealt with. Frauds, candidates that were frauds, digging into that. People working multiple contracts because everyone's working from home. So new HR challenges. But all that pain, we've grown and we've gotten better. And now you got to pivot. You almost have to figure out, change to what's going on with the market a little bit.
Well, growth is one of those things, is putting structure in place. And if you grow slow, you can kind of build structure like a scaffolding around you. But when you just kind of shoot up, you're kind of without ropes. And it's scary. And I have in my business, I've taken, several like spikes that have been just, through the roof. And you kind of need to run your business with success like you do when you're watching it. If it's struggling, don't get out over your skis. Don't overextend yourself, because you can easily get baited into that. I've had offices across the Southeast, and I found that having one office is easier to control than 8.
Yeah.
And just, you can't, it's hard to replicate yourself in some of these offices and hire away.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you've had a lot of fun with it. If you had to give, young recruiters advice, young sales, or young owners advice, what would be, 3 things that you say are musts?
Have somewhat of a plan. Be okay with failing, because you're going to fail multiple times.
And have a great marriage.
Yeah, and have the right people behind. Like, something we did as a company, we outsourced all of our back office. So for someone like me, who those are not my strengths, I have no mathematical skills, I am not detail oriented, and we tried to do it in-house, and it was such a nightmare, and everything wasn't transparent. Now I outsourced all of that to a second party, and they are phenomenal. All they do is staffing companies. So they're up on the latest trends. We have an HR person with them. They do all of our back office. They do all of our onboarding. And that has been such a great tool for us.
Now, you say that as anybody starting now has a great opportunity of success, because there's all these outsourcing agencies that do this. When we started, and early on when you started, it's like you had to do everything, payroll.
Yeah.
You had to fund your own payroll. Now there's great groups that do funding for you, to where you don't have to, you invoice it, they pay you, and they collect it.
Yep.
So it's, I always, let's say, having a tech company myself, tech is great if you adopt it and you get into it and you do it. Are there any cool features you see in our industry, techs, or anything that you've you've loved, or kind of really see coming on strong in maybe your industry?
As far as technology?
Yeah. I know we're all using our applicant tracking systems to their full capabilities, but there's tons of these little add-ons. I didn't know if you've seen any here.
And I probably need to get more up to speed on that.
So you're looking into your tech stack. I guess like most owners are like saying, I've got to really evaluate my tech stack to say, is it up to date?
Yeah.
It's because you're not the only one. We talked to several.
Do you guys use Cloud Call or anything like that?
We use a VoIP system. We use 8x8.
Okay.
But I think most agencies are texting is now the norm. If you don't have some sort of integrated texting feature into your platforms, you're way behind.
Yeah.
But it's been awesome to talk to you, and awesome to catch up and hear your story. Any last thoughts you want to give everybody listening, or just anything that we didn't cover that you're just like,
let's see. I think I never would have met, I'm so glad I did this. Definitely think about, if you do start your own, who you partner with. Make sure you have, because at first, that wasn't, I had a partner and that wasn't the best.
And before we end, picking your business partner is so important, because if you pick, it's like a marriage, because you spend more time with your business partner than
it's even worse, because all your financial, your professional relationships, everything is tied in with that. So that would be my one cautionary thing. I think just going through that, we're in a really good place now. But I think at the time it was really hard.
It was, yeah. And I walked with that with you. And I appreciate you mentioning it, because I think people do quickly jump into these partnerships like, hey, let's do this. And then 6 months into it, you're hooked. I mean,
Right.
legally, financially, everything is hooked together, and nothing will crush a business faster than two partners going at it.
Right.
But so that's a great ending to this and the cautionary tale, and wish you the best success. And thank you for coming on and being part of a,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all your help, Andy. You've been a great mentor and great for advice, and I've taken a lot of good things from you, so I appreciate that.
I have no hair for a reason. It just went from gray to falling out. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
The Staffing Stories podcast is brought to you by 3DIQ, founded by recruiters for recruiters. 3DIQ's industry-leading product suite complements your submission process in Bullhorn from start to finish and helps you deliver a cutting-edge customer experience. Triple your placements with our powerful resume submission platform, candidate marketing, and client portal. Visit 3diq.com/stories to learn more.